We've had 4 serious struggles in our time here in America. Our first struggle, the first 100 years or so, we fought for our humanity. Some of y'all don't know this. Before we could fight to end slavery, we had to prove that we were human beings. Did y'all forget that? I think y'all forget that. And you know why I think y'all forget that we had to fight for our humanity? It's because I see a lot of you, students and adults, putting our struggle as Africans in America on the same level as immigrants. I see some of y'all putting our struggle as Africans and Americans on the same level with those who fight for sexual freedoms. I see y'all putting our struggle in America as American Africans on the same level as gender equality. I'm sorry, brothers and sisters. LGBTs were not put on slave ships. I'm sorry, brothers and sisters. White women weren't put on slave ships. I'm sorry, brothers and sisters. European and Arab and Asian immigrants were not put on slave ships. Africans were put on slave ships. Stop confusing. Stop confusing who we are and what we've been through. We're the only people in America who showed up as imports. Everybody else showed up as immigrants. We're the only people in America whose dehumanization was codified by law. The United States Constitution gave you a right to dehumanize and own black people. That wasn't true for nobody else. We are the only people where it was punishable by death to want to get an education. You ever see pictures of our ancestors in slavery with their fingers missing? That's not because they had an accident. Whenever you got caught with a piece of paper, a pen or a pencil, or a book in your hand, they would cut one of the digits off. So if you got caught 3 times, no thumb. You got caught 3 more times, that finger gone. And if you kept on getting caught trying to learn, you might end up with no hands at all. Don't you dare compare me to somebody else's struggle. Black woman, could you imagine having a baby, walking through Jacksonville, Florida on a slave auction? And because your baby crying too loud, because your baby is too much of a distraction to the slave auctioneer, he would take your baby and give it away for free for anybody who wanted one. And if nobody wanted the baby, they were suffocated underwater. And you want to compare what we've been through? Do y'all know that our little girls, 7, 8, and 9, was the preferred bedmates of these slave masters? Thomas Jefferson used to go to bed with a little girl named Sally Hemings. And he was so sexually maladjusted that even when he went home to Europe on vacation, that little black girl, Sally Hemings, had to go with him. And you want to include the immigrants? No, I respect the immigrant struggle. I respect the women's rights struggle. I respect the LGBT struggle in terms of not being harmed or hurt, because I don't think nobody should be hurt for whatever situation they got going on. But you ain't go through what I've been through. And you ain't going to cherry pick my struggle for your benefit. We hate no one, but damn it, we love ourselves. And we love ourselves first. Black people first. And why? Why do we Pan-Africanists say black people first? Because charity starts at home. And how you going to help somebody else when you ain't done helping yourself yet? The only group you belong to that God chose is your African race membership. You could become a Kappa, but you can give it up too. You could become a Zeta, you could give it up too. You could become an American, you can give it up too. You could become a nurse, a doctor, you could give it up too. You could be a Floridian, you can move and be a Georgian, you can give that up. You can give up your Masonic lodges, you can give up your secret societies, you can give up your gang, you can give up your neighborhood, you can give up everything you belong to except being black.
Good evening, Dr. Umar. My name is Jamia. I am a student at UWF. I am a cybersecurity master's degree pursuer. And my question to you is, how do you recommend that we build an autonomous infrastructure on American soil, if possible?
It's possible, first of all. We've done it before with all of our Black Wall Streets. Here's the situation. The reason Black Wall Street worked, Princess, is because the white power structure did not allow us to participate in their society. Necessity is the mother of invention, right? So the reason we built Tulsa, Oklahoma is because we had to. The minute white folks let us participate in their economic reality, we gave up all of our independent black institutions. We gave up our hospitals. Do you know we once owned over 500 black hospitals in America? 500. 500. Almost have none now. The ones we do have are subsidized from outside the community. So it's no mystery how to do it. It's easy to do. The problem is black people are not interested in being black anymore. Okay. In order for us to solve a black problem, black people have to be conscious of their blackness, appreciative of their blackness, and they must be willing to fight for their blackness. Most of us don't want to be black. That's why you got people running around talking about, I'm a Native American, I'm an alien, you know. I was already here. Right? Now, don't get me wrong. There was Africans already in America before Columbus. Columbus even met them. He talked about them, right? But they came from Africa. So when you hear a Negro who looks just like an African say they not African, you know you're dealing with a fool, right? The first ancestor in China is an African, confirmed. Chinese will tell you. The first ancestor in Asia is an African, East India. They'll tell you. The first one in Mexico, they'll tell you. Every people in the world knows that their first ancestor was an African, except the people who look most like the Africans. You were Cherokee, but the Cherokees owned slaves. Not only did the Cherokees own slaves, the Cherokee wrote you out of their constitution. Yes, the Creek Indians wrote us out of their constitution. Half of these Native American groups that black people claiming to be a part of don't even accept you. I'm not saying you ain't got some of their blood in your body. I have some Native American in my body, but I'm an African. Have you ever seen a white person find a black person in a family tree and start calling themselves African? The only people who will give up all their blackness to be something else is the Negro, because we hate ourselves. You're not half black and half white, you're half crazy is what you are. Stop running away from who you are. The thing is, we have to find the black people who are serious about being free and organize with them. We're not going to save everybody, right? You take this audience right here. 1/3 of us are going to be sellouts. That's just how it's going to be. We're going to run with the white man. We're going to love the white man. We're going to bunny hop, all that. That's a third, right? You got another third. We're going to be the freedom fighters. And then you got all the fence walkers in the middle, and we got to convince them to come over to our side. The worst thing we can do is try to take everybody. Find the people who want to be free and move like that.
Thank you, Dr. Umar.
Black power, Princess.
Hi, Dr. Umar. Welcome to Jackson.
Thank you.
My name is Brittany. This is my daughter, Love.
Hey, Love.
I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor and a clinical researcher.
Powerful.
I deal with a lot of adolescents and children, I'd say ages 6 to 18. And you said something that struck a nerve about not so much going towards the children, but their parents, their family in this environment that they're in. What suggestions do you have when dealing with young black children and how to interact and almost provide psychoeducation to their parents around these mental health disorders?
The reason why it's so difficult for us to get black people to organize and pay attention is we don't have anything to offer them. It's easy for European Jews to organize European Jews. They have resources. It's easy for Asians to organize Asians. They have resources. It's easy for Anglo-Saxons to organize Anglo-Saxons. They have resources. The reason we can't get the attention of our young people, the reason we can't get the attention of our adult people, what do we have to offer them? The black community is the only community in America that can't hire their own people, can't educate their own children, can't save their own dying. We have no resources that we can systemically offer each other that doesn't involve white participation or subsidy. And because of that, black people are not paying attention. In other words, if I paid every black person in America $1 million to learn their history, they would never leave this church. You see that? because I'm offering them a resource. We have to be able to give our people tangibles in order to bring them back into the community. With that being said, I'm going to say this. When it comes to mental health, we do have to be careful, though, because we understand that white America really only wants to push psychiatric medication on black mental ill people. Did y'all hear what I said? When you go to therapy, you don't want the meds. Unless you or schizophrenic, you don't want the meds. The reason why a lot of us are not seeking therapy is we don't want to be medicated. In most white mental health systems, all they are offering black people is more pills. Synthesized crack, very similar to the stuff that we buy on the street. The the Drug Enforcement Agency classifies crack cocaine in the same category as Ritalin. You see? So as you do your work, sister, and the rest of you who are in the mental health field, give our people talk therapy. They don't need the pharmacotherapy. Keep them away from the drugs. I know so many people who are living with long-lasting, irreversible side effects from being on medications too long. And for those of y'all who think your sons are too hyper, is he in any organized extracurricular athletic activities, or is he in a house all day? You have to account for the need for black boys to run. You got to account for the need for black girls to run. A lot of us don't have activities for our kids and expect them to go to school and sit still. And when they can't, we say they're disordered. They're not disordered. It is a natural thing for a black child to need to run, crawl, break stuff, and play. It's part of being a child.
Are you saying that there are no specific interventions to the black parents due to us not having anything tangible to offer?
Well, it depends on what you're speaking of, because you're looking at over 400 mental disorders. So when you say interventions, there's not a general one. Are we talking anxiety? Are we talking depression?
The basics, I think anxiety, depression, ADHD.
And even with that, why are we anxious? So for example, let's say you and I both suffer from generalized anxiety. You suffer from generalized anxiety because you was in a car accident, right? And so you're dealing with that post-traumatic stress. I'm suffering from generalized anxiety because I was emotionally abused by my father, right? So your treatment plan is going to be different from mine because your anxiety came from a car accident. Mine came from parental abuse. So as you know, with mental health, everything is very individualized. Mm-hmm. We can do group stuff, but we got to be very, very particular about the issue is that we're going to address with that group. So if you have some groups you're working with in particular, shoot me a text with some and I'll give you some ideas. But it's hard to go holistic. You understand? Because this whole room, you're going to have some alcoholism. But guess what? Everybody on alcohol for different reasons. He on alcohol because his wife left him. She on alcohol because she was emotionally abused. Somebody else on alcohol because they didn't dealt with racism so much on the job, they can't take it no more. Somebody else with alcohol because they got low self-esteem and just think they physically unattractive. So we can all have the same mental illness, but all with a different cause. Yes. And the treatment plan is based on the cause as well as the illness. But if you got some groups, let me know, because I'll send you some ideas.
I got your information. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, Queen.